Hello my friends, let's play Sambhala Textural Orchestra by Stress of Sampling. So let's start by listening to this short example I created for Sambhala. Alright, so here is the interface, and you can see it's a contact sample library with the different folders for bowed strings, percussion, plucked strings, sparks, voices, and woodwinds. And if you just dive into any of them, let's say the voices category, you can see the different presets, female, male, texture, voices. So let's just drag in and try one of these, and if I play something here. Let's move the mod wheel. We can create these dynamic swells. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, Sambhala, as you can see from the subtitle, Textural Orchestra, is basically these atmospheric, almost Zen-like textures that creates a calm, relaxing atmosphere. Works great for this type of music. That's why I went with 70 BPM for this track, because you get this almost meditative type of sound. And you can hear there's lots of changes and variation. It's not the standard o and such things on the voices here. We have bowed strings, so here we have string ensemble, cello, viola, and violin. So let's just use the violin here and try that out. Very expressive and emotional sound. Now, what do we have in the interface? Well, we have the different microphone positions, close, deca, and whole. So you can mute or remove them. So we only have the closed mics. You have the deca mics. And you, of course, the 4 whole mics. And you can mix them as you want to. You can also pan them and decrease or increase the stereo imaging on per microphone. Then you have these are the main elements that makes this library unique. The elements. So the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth, plus this 5th element called ether. And you can turn it on and dial it in. So let's just try the ether here, for example. You can set a level, play it here so you can. So this is reversing the playback of this element. Air really just adds to the texture of the sound. Fire. So as you can see, these work great for that meditative, relaxing types of music. And earth. Backwards. And then you have the effects section with the filter, compressor, EQ, delay, and convolution reverb. So you can dial it in. Add some convolution reverb and all these different ones. And you can hear that even though I do not move the mod wheel right now, there's a lot of dynamic curves going on and changes in movement. Okay, so that is the interface. Now let's have a look at what I did here so you can see the different aspects of the sound. So first I went with the bowed ensemble strings here. Let's solo that, and I just play chords. Then I actually chose to mute this middle line to get more separation between the voices. And I muted the closed mics, added some ether, some filtering, and some convolution reverb to get this very atmospheric string sound. Even expanded the stereo width here on the hall mics. Beautiful atmospheric sound. On the plucked strings, let's see what I went with here. I used the dulcimer and playing something like this. I used no elements on this, just some filtering. No. Just some arpeggio things going on. Very, very ambient sounding. Of course, the bowed strings is what takes the majority of this track. Then for the woodwinds, I went with this textural bass duduk, which has a really cool sound. So let's just go and have a look what we have. So the bow strings, you already seen that one. The plucked strings are this, dulcimer, koto, lyra, and so on. And now here are the woodwinds, bansuri, Irish whistle, Native American flute, and this textural bass duduk. Takes care of that bass, low bass voice. For the voices, I went with the female solo voice. You have also the male vocal texture and the textural voices. And here I muted the close mics and I filtered it. Let's see, I think I used, some convolution, FX Monastery reverb to get this really... Really cool textural voice. It has lots of interest even with simple lines. And then Sparks is one of my favorite categories because it has all these really cool sounds here. You can see sci-fi and fantasy presets. And layers are synth, percussion, and FX. So let's see what that sounds like. I chose this one, Concept of Time. And then percussion is not really percussion, to be honest, in this library. Since it's textural orchestra, you can see the percussion has this. Well, there is a drum kit here, but you have these textural things here. Textural tuned small metals. And I'm just holding the notes, but it's not really playing long notes. You can listen to how it moves and adds. This different speed, tapping and rolling. And you also hear that fire element here in the background. So overall you get that big but still atmospheric sound if you layer all these things up. Oh, and by the way, of course, I used a lot of dynamic variation going on here by recording the mod wheel. And it really changes the You can swell and move over time like that. You can also add a dynamic influencer, by the way, on some sounds, so you can change the velocity, the dynamics on velocity as well. So that is Sambhala Textural Orchestra. It's kind of a niche sample library because it's really textural orchestra. It's great for this meditative, atmospheric type music, but if you are into that thing, you may want to check it out. So I will leave a link in the description so you can learn more about this great sample library by Stress of Sampling. So I'll see you guys in the next video.